Something has snapped in Formula One this week. The drivers have basically revolted against the FIA. Aston Martin's billion-pound Newey project is already the slowest car on the grid, and the drivers are scared of actual nerve damage to their hands and feet. And at Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton has a secret clause in his contract, and Charles Leclerc has just figured it out on track. Every one of these stories is breaking right now. And every single time, the side that was meant to win is losing. This is not a crisis. Formula One is in a civil war, and the losers are winning. I am Ryan Caldwell. This is F1 Verdict. Subscribe so you never miss the story behind the story. Let's get into it. It has been the strangest week of the 2026 season. Formula One is in a 5-week break, with no Bahrain, no Saudi Arabia, and nothing until Miami. When the cars are not on track, the politics go public. And right now, 3 stories are all pointing at the same thing. Who actually has power in Formula One? Let me take you through them. Start with the FIA. On Monday, April 20th, the FIA sits down with every team, every power unit manufacturer, and the Drivers Association. They are calling it a 2026 regulations review. What it actually is a formal admission that 3 races into the new rulebook, the regulations they spent 4 years writing are not working. Drivers have been formally pulled into the rule-making process for the first time. That has never happened before in F1. Here is what every other F1 channel is going to tell you about this meeting. They will say it is about safety. They will point to Oliver Bearman's 50G crash at Suzuka, caused by a 50 km/h closing speed differential between cars doing lift and coast and cars that were not. Bearman walked away with a bruised knee. He is also sitting on 10 of 12 super license penalty points. One more and he gets a race ban. That crash is the official reason this meeting exists. But the real story is about money and power and 3 manufacturers who are losing. I went through the last 2 weeks of Formula One technical reports. Ferrari, Honda, and Audi have been formally accusing Mercedes and Red Bull of exploiting a compression ratio loophole in the 2026 power unit regulations. The claim is that Mercedes and Red Bull engineered around the cap and are running a higher effective limit than everyone else. And look at the standings. Antonelli leads the championship in a Mercedes. Russell is second, also in a Mercedes. The 2 winning power unit camps are the ones being accused of cheating. The 3 camps doing the accusing are losing. So when the FIA says Monday's meeting is about safety, I think that is only half true. The other half is that the manufacturers behind want regulation tweaks that slow down the manufacturers in front. Bearman's crash, Verstappen's complaints, driver safety. That is the package they are selling. For any change to go through, the FIA needs a supermajority consensus. 7 of 11 teams and 4 of 5 manufacturers. Mercedes and Red Bull, between them, can block anything they do not want. And they know it. Meanwhile, Formula One Chief Executive Officer Stefano Domenicali went public this week, defending the 2026 regulations. He said viewership is up 25%. Every race is sold out. He also said Verstappen's voice has to be listened to, which is political code for "I heard you, I am not doing what you want." I think what happens Monday tells us who actually runs Formula One in 2026. Is it the drivers, the manufacturers, the teams, the commercial side, the governing body? Right now, every one of those groups thinks they have the final word. Only one of them is right. If you want the full picture on F1 Verdict, not just the drama, but what it actually means, subscribe to F1 Verdict. I cover the story behind the story every week. Now to Aston Martin. 18 months ago, Lawrence Stroll assembled what the paddock called the most expensive project in F1 history. He had signed Adrian Newey on a deal reportedly worth £30 million a year. He had moved Honda away from Red Bull as the works engine partner. A new factory opened in Silverstone. Fernando Alonso would drive one car and his son Lance would drive the other. 3 races in, the car was 4 seconds off the pace. 4 seconds, 4 seconds. I checked the lap time deltas from Australia, China and Japan. That gap was not fluctuating, it was stable. Martin Brundle called it a horror show with no quick fix likely. That was the public verdict. Privately, it was worse. At the Australian Grand Prix, Newey himself confirmed that Alonso and Stroll had expressed genuine fears about a specific medical claim. Permanent nerve damage to their hands and feet from vibrations coming through the battery pack. That's not rumour. That's Adrian Newey, on record. Alonso backed it up publicly. His exact words were, "It is not going to improve until 2027. It is a horror show." Fernando Alonso is 44 years old and has already written off his current season. Now here's what the paddock is actually talking about. Newey and Honda are reportedly fighting Lawrence Stroll's plan to write off 2026 entirely. Newey wants in-season fixes. Honda wants the vibration issue fixed before it damages their reputation. Stroll wants to cut losses and reset. The greatest designer in Formula One history, the engine partner who just staked their works program on this team, and the billionaire owner, none of them agree. My honest take, money doesn't buy Formula One anymore. Stroll outspent everyone. He brought in Newey, Honda, Alonso, and a new factory. What he built is the slowest car on the grid. Meanwhile, Williams, a team nearly bankrupt 3 years ago, is regularly in the points. The budget cap era has finally arrived, and Aston Martin is the proof. Which brings us to Ferrari. And this story is the quietest of the 3, but with the longest fuse. Over the last 2 races, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have been wheel to wheel. In Shanghai, they made contact. At Suzuka, they battled hard again. Hamilton finished ahead both times. After China, Hamilton got his first podium in 16 months. It sounds normal. 2 top drivers pushing each other. Then, Ralf Schumacher dropped this on German television. Hamilton's Ferrari contract apparently contains a clause that blocks the team from imposing team orders. It effectively gives Hamilton de facto number 1 status. He cannot be told to move over, and Leclerc cannot be backed up against him. I want to be careful here. This is Ralf Schumacher reporting on a contract no journalist has actually seen, unconfirmed. But every Ferrari move this month fits. Fred Vasseur has publicly defended letting his drivers race twice. He has not said this is our policy, he has said this is what the contract requires. Former F1 driver Timo Glock has already gone on record saying Ferrari need to take a stand or risk a Barrichello-Schumacher situation in reverse. Why does this matter? Leclerc is not a normal number 2, he's the Ferrari Academy graduate who was promised. The driver Ferrari built this entire era around. He's finally got a car that can win. And his new teammate arrived with a piece of paper that makes him untouchable. I think Leclerc already knows. The Shanghai contact was not an accident. The Suzuka battle was not a racing incident. That was Leclerc sending a message on track because it's the only tool he has. My red. Ferrari did not hire Lewis Hamilton. Ferrari surrendered to him. Somewhere in Maranello right now, executives are trying to figure out how to keep their academy graduate happy while their 7-time world champion has a clause saying he cannot be asked to move over. That is a political problem. It does not get smaller. It gets bigger every race until it breaks something. So here's the verdict. These aren't 3 stories. They're one story told 3 ways. At the FIA, losing manufacturers are fighting winning ones under the banner of safety. At Aston Martin, a billionaire's money has lost to a car designer and an engine partner. At Ferrari, An academy graduate has lost to a 7-time world champion with a contract clause. F1 in 2026 isn't about pace, it's about leverage. Who has it, who's using it, and who's pretending they don't need it. The drivers have it because the FIA can't pass changes without them. Newey and Honda have it because Stroll can't sack them. Hamilton has it because he brought it with him in writing. Monday's FIA meeting is just the loudest example. Whatever lands in the electronic vote tells us whose leverage counts the most. That's the verdict for now. The meeting is Monday. I'll be back Tuesday with the fallout. I'm Ryan. This is F1 Verdict.